Hey everybody, you're listening to the Steve B Show. I am your assigned host from God, Stephen Boyle. Well, we have a jam-packed show for you tonight. There is a lot that we need to cover, and as I've mentioned before, I do not want to have a 5-hour long program anymore. So, again, that was an introductory show, but so I'm gonna try to keep it within a 3-hour time slot, which is really difficult because there is so much to talk about. Some of this stuff I am just going to have to go quickly on. So I will be trying my hardest to kind of keep it as short and brief as possible. The big part of today's program that I want you all to really grasp at is spirituality, morality, okay? These are going to be some extremely important topics that I am going to be discussing in the meat of the program today. And it'll be very important that you listen to this. However, I am just going to jump right in here because, like I said, there is just so much and we can't waste any more time. So, this was about a couple weeks ago. This was back a couple Fridays ago, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. There was a story out saying that, well, first of all, you have this group of atheists that were trying to stop this cross-section. Okay, hear me very clearly here. This cross-section of of the World Trade Center to not be put in the World Trade Center Museum. And they're like, what's wrong with that? Well, remember, I said cross-section. So that means it's in the form of a cross. Oh no. There is a cross in a World Trade Center museum. How dare there ever be a cross in a museum? Oh my God. Folks, I have a soundbite here, and it was from about a month ago from Hannity. And you have this group of atheists. They're absolutely ridiculous. Okay, honestly, they are ridiculous to no end. Okay, and you're going to be hearing from the co-founder and the co-president of this group of atheists and agnostics. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about this, okay? But this will somewhat tie in to this story from New York City, with this cross that is trying to be banned or barred from being put into the World Trade Center Museum. So, this was from about a month ago, and I'm not going to give you the complete details because I want Hannity to explain it to you and the woman herself. But, basically, it is ridiculous. Okay, but here is the sound bite from Hannity about a month ago. It's about close to 6 minutes long, so just get ready. All right. Here is the soundbite for you.
Welcome back to Hannity. All right, Bibles in hotel rooms. That's standard practice in the U.S., but it wouldn't be anymore if one left-wing radical atheist group has their way. The Freedom From Religion Foundation received a complaint about what they call, quote, religious propaganda on state property at Iowa State University's Memorial Union Hotel. They then lobbied the director of the union until he agreed to remove all the Bibles from his rooms effective March the 1st. Here to explain why she sees this as, quote, reason and Constitution, and the Constitution prevailing, is the co-founder and co-president of the Freedom From Religion Foundation, Annie Laurie Gaylor. It's been a long time. Annie, how are you?
Yes, it has been. I first met you way back in Alabama.
I debated you way back in Alabama. That's right, and I'm getting younger every day. Tell me what... You go to the hotel, okay? You and your husband or any member of your organization. So they have the Bible maybe in a drawer next to the bed. Tell me how you're so offended by this, that it's so outrageous that you've got to now, those people that would like it would have the choice to open it, you're not forced to open it, doesn't take up any space. Why is this such a big issue for you?
Why would a university place a religious book in a hotel room?
Because they want to, because they think their customers want it.
Unless there was a message of endorsement, we think you should be reading this book, or we think you would want to read this book. Imagine the outcry if somebody opened up their bedside table at a public-supported institution and found Richard Dawkins' God Delusion, or found a Quran.
We're talking about the Bible. You know what? If they wanted to put a Quran in there, I would have no problem. The thing is, you're acting like you're so offended. And you're not offended. I don't believe for a second you're offended. I'm sure your organization will raise money off of this, and you'll send out letters saying we took on Iowa University. And
I don't like to pay high prices to stay in a hotel room to find a book in there that says that I should be murdered, that blasphemers should be put to death, that homosexuals are an abomination, that women are subordinate. Don't open the book.
They probably have channels on the TV that you don't like. You probably don't like to watch me usually.
You said, well, you said that I am not offended, but I am offended by the Bible because I don't think there's another book between whose pages life is so cheap that sanctifies genocide, sanctifies so many primitive teachings
you get off on insulting people's deeply held religious views. I know that's part of your thing. How much money does your organization take in a year?
Well, actually, that's none of your business. But
that's none of my business?
Is your business is
that because you're going to raise money off this, aren't you? That little Bible that sits there, is not offending you, but you're going to send out letters, and you're going to raise money. You're going to raise money because you're not really offended. I don't believe that for a second.
We didn't put out a press release saying donate on it. We just put out a press release pointing out that this is a victory for secularism.
And will you get checks in the mail supporting your group?
Well, we are a membership organization, and we do invite people who are freethinkers to join us. We're the largest atheist and agnostic organization in the country.
Are you pro-choice?
And we offer, yes, I am, and we offer a free
if the Bible is literally tucked
to members of the public who encounter violations of the separation of church and state.
Okay, if the Bible is tucked into the drawer next to the bed, and you choose not to open it, just like you might want to not watch a channel on TV that's on their channel, maybe even religious channels. You're saying something that to me just makes zero sense and that I don't believe, and that you are so deeply offended that you would be offended
if you found the God delusion and atheistic material in a hotel that was supported by the government, a public university hotel.
You know, up until the early 1960s, the Lord's Prayer was said in public school. Bible reading was done on a regular basis until 2 Supreme Court decisions. So that means from 1776, our founding document, our Declaration, through 1787, all the way up till the 1960s, Bible reading was done in school and the Lord's Prayer was said.
No,
and guess what? A theocracy never emerged in America. Isn't that interesting?
Sean, that isn't true.
That is true.
That was a fairly, in the state of Wisconsin, for example, our state Supreme Court outlawed outlawed Bible reading in the public schools in 1890.
It happened on a widespread basis.
The same was true in many other states. It was a fairly recent thing that happened in the 50s that you had so many states reciting the Lord's Prayer. We owe a great debt
Annie,
to Ellery Shemp, who started
with all
that
due respect,
fight
you guys
for
on the left,
secularism in the schools.
You are just intolerant. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't offend you. You're going to raise money off this. And I don't believe for a second this is so offensive to you.
Of the First Amendment. I'm intolerant of the government telling us
you do.
What
you don't have to read it.
It
can sit right in. It can sit in your nightstand, and you don't even have to open it. Amazing. Pro-choice. You're pro-choice, right? You can choose not to open it.
But the government shouldn't be telling me I should have it there at the bedside table. If I want a Bible, I will travel with it. People who are that pious that they can't go to sleep without reading a Bible will carry one with them.
You don't have to open it, but I got to go. Thank you. Good to see you. It's been many years. Appreciate it. Coming up next.
So, folks, did you hear the explanation that this lady had? So, she's using the First Amendment, okay, which, again, she has the freedom. She has the freedom to believe in atheism. That's her right. No one's denying that from her. However, this is what I don't get, okay? It's a problem when Christians try to promote the Holy Bible in schools. But atheists are actually promoting their religion or what they believe when they say, oh, take this out of the schools. Oh, teach evolution and all of this other BS. Okay? They're actual, so it doesn't work both ways, folks. Do you see that it's not working both ways? There really should be a religion class in public schools, teaching children every single religion that there is, every single religion, and teaching them the fundamentals of every single religion and having them choose for themselves the religion that they want. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're saying, we can't have any religion in school. Well, then where is our morality coming from? Where in the world is our morality coming from? If we have... And I'm going to get into this later on, but where is our morality? Where? Where in the world is our morality? And you know, I'm going to have a soundbite for you. Really ridiculous. This weekend, and I'm going to get really into the hat of atheism, because I was an atheist once. Now, getting to that, okay, when I was an atheist, I knew that there was a Holy Bible in the drawers, okay, or in the drawer next to your bed or wherever it is. Do I have to read it? Is there somebody coming from the government saying, you have to read the Holy Bible? Is somebody telling me that? No. It's a choice. Just like a channel on TV. But she's taking it, the government shouldn't have it there. How long has it been done? It's been done for years. And has anyone, it's hilarious that no one has even mentioned it. Why hasn't anyone mentioned it? Because it hasn't offended anybody. And Hannity is 100% right. She's going to make money off of this, just like all liberals do. All progressives make money off of what they advocate. It's ridiculous. And this atheist group that was trying to stop the cross from being put into the World Trade Center Museum, they probably made money off of that too. It's all a scam. It's ridiculous. Really, it is. And if there ever was a Christian group that came up or came out and said, no, we don't want you to do, telling the government not to take the Holy Bible out of hotels, guess what would happen? Number one, they would be laughed at. Number two, they would be shunned and possibly even imprisoned. Either that or fined or what have you. Because how dare Christians speak out? It's ridiculous. As our country is continuing to go down the wrong path, Christians are getting less and less freedom to speak out for God because of this religion BS that they put out. There's a difference between there is honestly a difference between separation of church and state. When they said separation of church and state, they didn't mean separating the church from the school. Oh, well, the schools are part of the government. That's not what they meant. You are not going to get a theocracy from having religion being taught in school. Where in the world do these people even come up with the singular idea that a theocracy is going to emerge because of religion being taught in school? Where do they get that idea? But it was passed. You can't even have the 10 Commandments in school anymore. You can't even have that. But where do they get the idea that a theocracy will emerge if you teach religion to students? We did it for years. And then this lady's like, oh, well, in 1890, Wisconsin, they got rid of the Bible in the schools. So, that's one state. What's your point? Most of the country did it later on than Wisconsin. Maybe it was one or two states that did it in the late 1800s, early 1900s. But most of the country got rid of it in the 60s, when you had all this ridiculous protest crap going on. So, folks, as if you look since I really want you to look. Since the 1960s, when religion was removed out of school, can somebody tell me that our school systems have gotten better since the 1960s? Because there is no evidence to prove that our school system has gotten any better since the 1960s. No better. So this atheist movement BS that this woman is putting forth is just total gobbledygook. You know where she can stick it. Anyway, February unemployment has rose. Now, is anybody surprised over that? That's my real question. Is anybody surprised at that the unemployment rate rose for February? Because I know I'm not. But you have Obamacare. Okay? You have Obamacare, and that's, of course, cutting jobs. You know, I mean, it's a total failure. It's a total failure. Now people say, oh, look to Massachusetts. Folks, our state is one of the worst. Take it from a person who lives here. The people who live here are totally blind. They're totally blind to the failing of this state. This state is in such a bad position, it's not even funny. I'm speechless. The taxes, the everything. It is horrible. And if our country was like Massachusetts, we would totally be in deep trouble. We are spending way more than we're taking in. Way more. We're in billions of dollars in debt as a state. So, and of course, the solution, according to Deval Patrick, who, by the way, wants to run for president, it sounds like. Or he's considering it, at least. Says that the solution is higher taxes. Folks, I have a story coming up later on, and, if Massachusetts or if the United States had its own way, you will not believe the story I have for you later on. But anyway, if our country was like Massachusetts, our country would be in shambles. Total, complete shambles. Our country would be like Springfield. Springfield, Massachusetts. Look up if you don't live in Massachusetts and you've never heard of Springfield, Massachusetts, look up Springfield, Massachusetts and how horrible that city is. The poverty, the total failure, the corruption. It is one of the worst. The crime is incredible. Some of the best sections of Springfield have just completely fallen apart. This is what happens, folks. And apparently, you talk to the citizens of Massachusetts, and they're like, oh, it's the best state. We have the best health care. We have the best schools. Do we really? Do we really? The more and more I think about it, the less and less I believe it. There is no way that we have the best schools. No way. All it is indoctrination camps. It's Common Core at the best. and we give free handouts here. It's like everybody's on poverty or everybody's on welfare. Free welfare for everyone. Folks, it's ridiculous here in Massachusetts. Ridiculous. The corruption on the state and local level is so bad. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. So this unemployment rate rising for February is not by any means surprising. Not by any means. And folks, here in Massachusetts, there are less full-time jobs than there are part-time. And guess who's taking all these part-time jobs? There is no room for any teenager to, there are teenagers that are obviously working, but obviously a lot less. There's a lot less room for them. It's mind-boggling. It really is. But Massachusetts will never change. I want to talk a little bit about, yet again, because I think people just don't understand that there are people on the Republican side who actually are progressing us towards socialism. There are Republicans. They are basically liberals, except they classify themselves as Republicans, but they're just liberals. You can call them the establishment type Republicans. What is the difference between these Republicans and conservative constitutional Republicans? There's even conservatives who are not really truly conservative. There are. The big thing, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some principles and some values later on. Some principles and some values later on that I want everyone to hear. True conservatives, we don't believe in no government. That's what some people believe. We're not anarchists. We're not anarchists. Our country wasn't founded on anarchy. Was our country founded on anarchy? Was when George Washington was president, was our form of government anarchy? No. It was limited, small. Yes, there was government, but it wasn't socialists who were running it. It wasn't communists. It wasn't fascists. It was small, limited government run by the Constitution. That's what our founding fathers wanted. And that's how it worked for a while. Now we have these progressives. They're progressing us. And as we progress on, you know what's funny? You ask any kid, any millennial, a random millennial, most millennials. And for those of you who don't know, millennials are people my age. You ask any millennial, and you ask them what is a conservative, or what do you think about conservative or conservatism. And they say, oh, old-fashioned, unchangeable, racists. Seriously, go up above, search MRC TV, conservative versus progressives. And honestly, some of the responses you get, most of it is old-fashioned, unchangeable. They don't know. They don't know. And then you ask them about progressivism. Oh, it's so great. Change. It's allowing freedom, equality. Okay. Progressivism. The main word in there is progress, right? The question that you should be asking yourself is, what are we progressing towards? When you say progressivism, when you have progressives, and trust me, it is a big, big, big movement. It has become extremely big. When you have progressives, you have to ask yourself, what are we progressing towards? Which way are we progressing? Are we progressing towards 100% government, or are we progressing towards 0% government? That should be your question. Which way are we progressing? And I don't think anybody here can tell me that since 1960 that our government has gotten smaller. I don't think there's anybody who can tell me that. Has our government gotten smaller since 1960? Has it? And I don't think our government has. And another thing that these millennials say, oh, they're not accustomed to the new age. They're not accustomed to the new way of thinking. Okay. We're not accustomed to the new way of thinking. We're not savvy technologically, right? Okay. So wanting smaller government means that basically it's bad. But progressivism, now again, these people don't know which way they're progressing. They just think it's better. They don't look at it as if they're progressing towards socialism. Because why? Because, again, in order to promote socialism, you can't say that it's socialism straight out. You use the word progressive, and you paint this beautiful picture. Beautiful. Equality. Wonderful people just loving each other. Gay marriage and all of this other stuff. It's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful world. That's the picture they paint. Everybody's wealthy. Everybody has money. That is the picture progressives paint. That is the picture. So, when that happens, when you have that picture that's painted, what ends up happening? People are like, wow, that sounds really, really good. So they get attached and they end up becoming consumed by it. Vladimir Lenin, the original founder of the Soviet Union, he called these people, he called them, it's another word for puppets. Basically, you drown these people with information. You drown them with this beautiful picture, and they basically become what you want. The people who don't are the problem. They're the big, big problem. Then you have the children. Well, they need to be taken care of first. They need to be taken care of as soon as possible. So, are there progressive Republicans? Yes. There are progressive Republicans. The amounts of conservative constitutional Republicans is decreasing. However, there are still constitutional conservative Republicans out there who believe in the morality, who believe in the values that that us as true conservatives believe. True conservatives, true constitutional conservatives, they don't necessarily look, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this later on. They don't necessarily look at a certain situation through a obstructed lens. What do I mean? Well, let's take the issue with gay marriage for an example. I do not, and most conservatives do not, agree with gay marriage. Just that plain and simple. However, the people who do speak out have that right. And if somebody from the government, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat, if somebody were to all of a sudden start imprisoning people who are doing these gay parades, even though we don't agree with it, even though we may poo-poo the LGBT movement, we may poo-poo these gay parades, they still have that right. It's their right. It is our First Amendment. So, no. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you are restricting the freedoms of people, it's wrong. It's just wrong. I don't care what party you are. And if there's something that a Democrat sees that is wrong, we need to open our hands to them, not say, oh, you're a hypocrite. Yeah, they may be hypocrites and they may be real big idiots, but if they're finally starting to realize something and seeing something, you don't hit them. You don't say, oh, you now see what it feels like. No. That's not what people, as far as Americans and people who truly believe in the Constitution, would do. Sometimes you believe in something But you have to do what's right. Have to do what's morally right. So that's the difference between progressives, the progressive Republicans, and even some conservatives. They progress us towards this bigger government. Bigger government. And that's not what constitutional Republicans believe. That's not what conservative Republicans believe. That's just the way it goes. That's the way it goes. So we have this Crimea business, and let me tell you, things have been really, really heating up quite quickly. I mean, you have Kerry, who's going out there and saying, there is going to be a red line that you cannot cross, and there will be serious consequences on Monday. Well, there was no consequences that I could see, and actually Putin is actually using stronger sanctions. Yes, he is actually banning some senators from visiting Russia. Now, although the senators will be like, oh, we don't care, and all this other stuff, and we're actually on it, it's actually stronger than our sanctions. Putin doesn't care the sanctions that we put out. Folks, he does not care. He does not care. He is going to, if he wants to invade Eastern Ukraine next, he's going to invade Eastern Ukraine. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what NATO says. He doesn't care what the EU says. He doesn't care what we say. He doesn't care. He's a former KGB officer. He doesn't care. He's going to do what he wants to do. He's like Hitler. Truly. Truly, he is like Hitler. And, folks, he may have conservative views, which I know he does. And he may classify himself, quote, as a capitalist. However, to restrict the freedoms of your people is not what we conservatives believe in. We don't believe that, oh, if you don't believe in what we believe in, you're gonna get punished. That's not the way we do things. That's the way we've never done things here in America. So to compare us to the Nazis is ridiculous. Yes, we may have the same ideology as maybe what Hitler had or Vladimir Putin has. Yes, we may agree on things, but does that mean we're going to go ahead and say, okay, if you don't believe in what we believe in, you're gonna get killed? If you're a black, you're gonna die? No! And actually, it's quite the opposite. Conservatives are... I mentioned this once to my mother, and she could not. She really couldn't wrap her head around this idea that conservatives are actually not racist. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what color, how fat you are, your sex, your color of your hair, the color of your eyes, whether you have glasses or no glasses, whatever. I don't care if you're a liberal. I don't like you as far as in the arena of ideas. You may be a great person. I may really enjoy your company. But as far as in the arena of ideas, I do not agree with you. And I don't like you in as far when it comes in terms of the arena of ideas. Again, it's different than what the actual person is like. I oppose you in the arena of ideas. Not oppose you like Vladimir Putin does, where if you oppose me in the arena of ideas, then you're gonna get killed, or you're gonna get imprisoned, or you're gonna get beaten, or you're gonna get fined, or what have you. Okay? That is the difference. You have, and this is where people get mistaken. The true political spectrum is not the extreme right or the extreme left. You have to look at the spectrum and look at what is 100% government and what is 0% government. That is what is the true left and the true right. And then you have to look at, okay, what is Putin doing? It doesn't matter if he is a conservative or not. It doesn't matter, okay? Because it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, conservative, Nazi, fascist, what have you. If you're forcing stuff upon people, that means you have total authority. That means you're a dictator. If you're going over what people are saying, that means it doesn't matter what your views are. You have 100% government. I don't care if it's capitalism. It's 100% government. Because why? Because there's no checks and balances. What Putin says goes. Whatever he says goes. And that's what a lot of people here in America and part of our education system are being taught. It's the political parties do not go left and right. Okay? It does not go that way. The political parties go up and down. The Democrats and the Republicans go up and down. And wherever the Democrat and the Republican parties are on the spectrum will determine what the Democrat or the Republican thinks. So if you're a Democrat or Republican that is closer to 100% government, well, you're going to be a little bit more authoritative. Or you're going to believe in more government. Whatever. Or you're going to believe in total control. Whatever. Okay? If you have the Democrat and the Republican Party shifted more closer to 0% government, well, there's going to be less totalitarianism. Folks, a lot of people are not being taught correctly. Not being taught correctly about political systems. They're not being taught correctly about history either. Not only that, they're making it sound as if history isn't important either. They're trying to make it as boring as possible so that if you make history boring, people aren't going to care about it. And basically, you can do whatever you want. So, the fact that there are so many people these days not interested in our history and actually hate it, because I was one of them. Because of that fact, we have some serious issues on our hands. Because when you're not being taught history, or you're making it or you're teaching it as if it's not that important, well then guess what? You're not going to remember what happened back during World War II. And be like, oh, I think there was this Hitler guy and this Stalin guy, and I think there was some dictatorship going on, but I don't know exactly what they did. I mean, yeah, the Holocaust is so entrenched in everyone's mind, but what isn't entrenched in people's mind is the mass murders of Stalin, which is even more important. So, it just doesn't work. 100% government doesn't work. It fails. So again, this Russia business, Putin's gonna do what he wants. He's gonna continue invading. It doesn't matter what Kerry or Obama says. And frankly, the future's looking very grim. Very, 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 very grim. So that is the story on Crimea going together with Russia. Of course, you have Obama and Kerry saying that we're not going to recognize it. Putin doesn't care. He doesn't care. Anyway, this next story, I am going to be playing a soundbite for you. And it was from a couple Fridays ago. Now, as you go through the soundbite, you're going to hear that, you're going to hear, the possibility or you're going to hear that you're going to eventually hear that this law was voted down. It was the upskirt law here in Massachusetts. But I want you to listen to this whole entire soundbite, and I'm not sure exactly how long the soundbite is, but it's very important because it has a huge message to it. Very huge. Okay? Very huge message, and it's really touching. It really is. And it just makes you think about the idiocy, the ridiculousness of sometimes of our country. So this was from back last Friday. This is a sound bite clip from the Glenn Beck program back a couple Fridays ago. Here it is.
Question on the whole upskirt picture ruling.
Sure.
Unreal.
In fact, I think we have somebody from Pennsylvania. It's no, wait. It's Massachusetts. Yeah, good. Bill, you're on the Glenn Beck program. Hi, Bill.
Yeah, hi, Glenn. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm appalled at this.
Hold on, just a sec.
I'm originally from New York, and I moved to Massachusetts, which is like going from the pan into the fire.
Hang on, Bill, just a sec. I just have to say this.
We should explain.
No, hang on. Wait. I have to explain something. Pat will explain what we're talking about, but hang on. I just want everybody to listen to Bill and just think of every great cartoon you've ever loved. Mm-hmm. Now listen to Bill. Go ahead, Bill. Listen to his voice.
Recently, Massachusetts legislation has passed a law that it's okay to take pictures of ladies with dresses upskirt of law. Mm-hmm. And it also, the court says, oh, this is okay. And Deval Patrick, I think, he's pondering over signing it. I think he is going to sign it. And, I lost my wife. And in her honor, I lost her from cancer. And she was a good woman. And I know you guys have good wives. And I respect women. As a man, I think this is absolutely appalling. I wish to hear women's rights come out. And this is only in my state, but it's United.
Bill, they're having a problem. There's a public building, I think it's in California, where these architects are just dopes. It's like they've never been in a building before. And the architect actually made lucite treads on the stairs. And now the women...
So you can see through them.
So you can see, you stand underneath the stairway. It's in a public space, huge staircase, and you can stand underneath the staircase and just look up people's skirts. And what they're saying now in Massachusetts is, that's okay. That's not okay.
It's legal. Yeah, because they're not... The only thing that's
not okay.
The only thing that is illegal in Massachusetts is for partial or full nudity. You can't photograph them against their will with that. But... they maintain that if you have a skirt on, it's appropriate, I guess. It's not against the law anyway.
How is that appropriate? How is that appropriate?
I don't know.
As Bill said, I respect my wife. He respects his. My wife is modest. She'll wear a dress. She'll wear a skirt, but she won't wear anything that is... she wears it just above the kneecap. She won't wear it anywhere above the kneecap. So she's modest. But she's wearing a skirt. You think it's okay to take a photograph
and look under people's clothing
underneath my wife's skirt?
No.
How dare you?
And Glenn, what about children? Well, you're going to have perverts out there that could do this too.
I got to believe they're going to pass something to make that right in Massachusetts, because that's not a political issue. I mean, that's just an insanity issue. I got to believe even Democrats are going to come along.
I know your whole state up there is screwed up. How did you, first of all, move from New York to Boston? What were you thinking?
You're supposed to move south.
Well, I'm not in Boston. I'm
Massachusetts.
Western, sir. Well, actually, I met my wife on eHarmony. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mention her name.
Oh, that's all right. That's okay.
Okay.
We don't have to charge you for that.
Online. I was never married. At 57 years old, we got married. She was never married.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful lady, animal lover, great person. Everybody loved her. And it was worth moving it. I only had her for 5 years.
Jeez.
I miss her.
Bill, I love you. Man, what a great man you sound like. What was your wife's name?
Marsha.
We will, and I would ask all the audience to say a prayer for Bill and Marsha today. And what a great example of a man's love for a woman. Thank you for sharing that. God bless you.
God bless you all.
Thanks, Bill. Boy, isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm. Well, except for when you ruined it by calling him a cartoon character.
No, I do want to come back to that after that beautiful moment. It's a little difficult, but he sounds like every cartoon character you've ever heard that you've loved. It's like Foghorn Leghorn, and he sounds like a great cartoon character that you've always loved. Anyway, that is a beautiful, beautiful love story.
Yeah.
It is. It took away from the unintended consequences of the lucite stairs, though.
Yeah. It's true. Thank you, Jeffy, for bringing that back up.
I bet you Dr. Neil Clark Warren was excited about that call, too.
So you got Farmers and eHarmony free advertising today. Who else wants it?
We're going broke. We're giving what are we, socialist all of a sudden, giving away free advertisement?
We matched Bill on 29 dimensions of compatibility.
I will tell you this, that it is offensive because I feel, boy, I'm going to get all soppy with thinking about my wife now after talking about Bill. I feel the same way about my wife that he felt about his, and I know, Pat, you do. I know, Stu, you do. Jeffy.
Who knows with him?
Yeah.
There's a terrible person.
But
Jeffy feels that way about Jeffy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
But how offensive is that you think you can take a photograph of what's under my wife's skirt? How offensive. How did that happen? Who are these judges, these cretins?
Well, to be fair to the judge, he basically made the case, look, it's my job to interpret case law. It's not my job to...
No, his job is not case law. That is progressive.
That's true.
Case law is not your job. The Constitution and the state Constitution is your job, you cretin.
You can't tell me you're securing your person when somebody's taking a photo underneath your dress.
You are not. You are covering
You're not.
yourself for a reason. If my wife wanted to, be seen like that, she'd wear a bikini all the time.
Right. It's so funny. The right to privacy means abortion, but not upskirt photos.
Right.
Those are
And the war on women, you know why people aren't probably speaking out about this? Because they'll make you look like a Neanderthal. Like, oh, now you got to protect women. Oh, you've got to do this. Oh, you want to be all modest. We're talking about upskirt photography.
Yeah.
And where is the National Organization of Women? They're not going to be on this.
I think they might be on this. This is not a political issue. I think the issue here with the judge, to draw the line between cretin and poor judge, he was not advocating this was a good idea. He was saying it needs to be fixed immediately. But he was saying right now the law does not prevent it.
I don't believe that.
Well, I would tend to agree with you. I'm sure it probably
the Constitution.
does. I would think the Constitution
you are
does,
not secure in your person.
Yeah.
You're not. And I go back to that lucite stare in California. I'm pretty sure it's California. Who else would go like, we need like lucite stairs, man. And then everybody's so high, they're like, oh, that is so cool because we could see people walking up the stairs and they could see down. And they would never even think about women.
I'm sure they thought about women when they put in the lucite stairs.
There had to be a Jesse in that room.
No, the architect had absolutely no idea. But somebody along the way, as they were putting those stairs in, the workers.
Oh, yeah.
The workers are like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Anyway, the idea of women who are wearing skirts as they're walking up these stairs, you should see the women. I've seen the video of when they first put this stair in, and women who are in skirts, they get about 3 steps up, and people are walking underneath the stairs, and they kind of stop, and they kind of grab their skirt, and then they like back down. It just dawns on them, wait a minute. This isn't a good idea.
Yeah. By the way, as we speak, Massachusetts has passed an upskirting ban, and Deval Patrick has publicly committed to signing it.
This is ridiculous. The Constitution covers that.
Yeah. You should have been self-evident.
I mean, it's self-evident.
It is.
Come on.
It is. This is another thing. You don't have to have laws about everything. You look to the Constitution for things like this. The Constitution. I am secure in my property, in my papers, and my person.
Well, the founders didn't see short skirts coming. So
how could they possibly have seen lucite stairs?
They didn't really cover that.
They weren't that smart. Who saw lucite coming? Oh, jeez.
So, did you hear that? Okay, now, that basically summed up everything that I wanted you guys to hear. First of all, did you hear that man who spoke from Massachusetts? Did you hear him? Did you hear, again, great guy, it bothers me. It bothers me that this even was an issue in Massachusetts. Of course, this would be an issue in Massachusetts because Massachusetts is one of the most immoral states. Yes, I said it. I don't care. Coming up a little bit later on, I have another story for you. You know, there is so much going on. It's not even funny. The Constitution covers this. You know, why do we need to have laws for every minute little thing? Okay? Yes, I understand if it wasn't a law before, but look at the Constitution first. At least look at that first. You know, these people are so... They just don't understand. Where the original person who did this, where was his common sense? Oh yeah, that's right. Here in Massachusetts, there is no common sense. As a state, I'm not saying everyone in the state doesn't have common sense, but I'm saying as a state, we don't have common sense. At least our government doesn't have, our state government doesn't have any sense. That's pretty clear. But anyway, getting back, the original person, first of all, where was his common sense? He did this on an MBTA train, on the subway. What in the world? What in the world was he thinking? Not only that, but where were the people? I can't wrap my head around this. I can't. But, you know, is this really... My question here is this really surprising? Because I am going to get into another issue. This is going to be more of an issue, not necessarily a current current event, but it's an issue. One of our biggest issues that we face as a nation today, and that is really destroying our country from within. And, well, I do have something to say in a minute, but that is pornography. Now, I know there are going to be some people particularly people who I know who says, oh, well, you used to watch it or you watch it. Well, I did. Okay? And I will admit that I was addicted. However, folks, when you regain your morality, that is when you will say, you know what? Screw this. I don't need this anymore. I don't need it. What's the purpose? But until that happens, your morality continues to sink. You have no morality when there is no morality in that. Why do people think it's the fundamental question is why do people think it's okay? Why is it being promoted in our culture? That is the question. And I can say firsthand, because first of all, I was part of the problem. I was one of the people who was engaging in these types of activities. Well, I wasn't one of the people who photographed, but I was at least the audience. My question here is why is our youth of today, the millennials, why is it okay with them? Why is it cool? Why wasn't it cool back in the 60s? Oh, it's just the way it is. Really, it's the way it is, right? Or some people will say, oh, well, that's the 1960s or the 1950s. Yeah. It's the 1950s or 60s. But that still doesn't answer my question. What is the difference? Why is our youth of today so accepting of such an immoral act? Why? Why is it so accepting? I'm not necessarily saying the other act, but what I'm saying is at least engaging in watching pornography. That is what I am focusing in on here, is pornography. Why are people engaging in pornography? And why is it being accepted? Why? Why is it being why is it brought in? Why is it being accepted? And why is it being engaged? Why are people engaging in it? Why are there more people than ever in this industry? Well, first of all, they think it's self-expression, which, again, here in America, you have that freedom to do that. To where in Russia, you wouldn't. If you even considered doing that, you would be killed or you would be fined. So you have the freedom to, again, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I understand that. You do have the freedom to do that. But my point that I'm trying to make here is you can't have freedom or free enterprise or a free market if you don't have morality. Morality is if you want to look at morality as the house or as the foundation, or if you want to look at morality as the tree, if you want to look at morality as the core of the apple, however you want to look at morality. But however you want to look at it, freedom and the free market, free enterprise spring off of morality. Morality is having the freedom, or morality is, I'm trying to remember the quote. It's from the documentary that I linked you to. Morality is having It's something along the lines of having the freedom to do what, although you have the freedom to do what you want to do, you do what is right. So although you have the freedom to watch porn, although you have the freedom of expression, although you have the freedom to go into pornography, morality is doing what's right. Again, though, nobody's gonna force you, but to not have morality is basically to have no sense in self, no self-respect, no respect for those around you, no respect for anyone. If you can't respect yourself, then how are you going to respect those around you? So that brings me back to why is porn so advertised? Why is it so... what is the big deal about it? Why is it so, let's say, quote unquote, popular? Well, there's a few answers for that. Why is it that people who don't, whether they don't know about it, they don't engage in that, or they don't seem to care about that, why are they demonized? Why are they put down? Almost. See, there's a conflict going on. And this is showing itself purely. You have those who do have morality, those who do believe in our country, who believe in our freedom, who believe in individuality. But then you have those who conform to what culture wants them to do. What is socially acceptable. And those who don't fall into that category are supposedly not good. I have a story about this later on, and I really am... I'm at my wit's end as far as this stuff goes. Honestly. But I want to put out this message. Okay? Yes, if you heard me earlier, I was addicted. But when you become spiritually and morally engaged with yourself, when I say that, I mean you literally know who you are. You start to grow a relationship, seriously grow a relationship with God. You end up figuring out that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. And basically, all it's doing is destroying people. Destroying yourself more than anything. And why is culture promoting it? Because culture, our society, wants to destroy our morals. And why do they want to destroy our morals? Why does society want to destroy our morals? The reason why they want to destroy our morals is because that's what communism and socialism is. There is no morality. It is stripped of all morality, all freedom, all free market. And the first step to communism, or actually let's say the first step to socialism, is stripping our society of morality. That is the first and foremost thing. You turn your entertainment, you turn your books, your literature, your everything on your morals against us. And that's what's happening. Our music. Did you see this idiot Lady Gaga, what happened? But again, is anybody surprised? And if you are, why are you so surprised? So, folks, you need to understand that you need to... There was a story about this. I think it was last week sometime. There's this girl who's going to college. She's one of these porn actresses. She was saying, "Oh well, the people who are against porn, they're basically the ones who are basically are watching it all the time." Folks, as a person, I am an honest and true person. Everything that I am putting out in this program, there is no facades. There is no... You don't have to question anything I say, because what I say is what I believe. So, again, the truth is that I did. But folks, I am not anymore. Because it's not good, in my opinion. First of all, the industry is all... It's owned by progressives who want to progress this nation towards socialism. That was the first thing that got me to want to stop. You have to want to, really. But if you don't want to, it's never gonna happen. That's the thing with any addiction. You have to want to. If you don't want to, then what's the point? Don't try if you don't want to. Don't put yourself on the patch. Don't do that. You're just causing yourself more pain. You have to want to from within your soul, within your mind, and within yourself. But if you don't want to, what's the point of trying? What's the point of trying? And that is what our society is trying to get us to do, is get us addicted to these substances, to porn, things that are immoral and are against religion. And frankly, that is the big problem with our society. However, we can't force anybody because, again, we are not that type of nation. We are not a theocracy. We are not an authoritarian dictatorship. We are the United States of America, and we promote freedom. However, there should be morals and principles that we stand by as a country, and that we don't shake, no matter what. So that, my friends, is something I feel is very important for especially some of my listeners who are younger to this, who are a little bit younger, to listen to on the program today, because it's really, really being advertised as good. Really. It's being advertised as good. Good. It's good. It's, watching porn is good. Watching porn is okay. Some may go as far as it's art. But no. It's wrong. It's wrong. But again, I can't force, and America can't force anybody to stop. Maybe Putin would, but that's not how we run things here in America. We are not Russia. We are not Iran. We are not China. We are not North Korea. We are the United States of America. Nor are we France. I have a story in here about France. Paris. Ridiculous. Okay? But anyway. It's important to understand what is right and what is wrong. And if you aren't taught that, or if it's not really instilled, then you don't really, you're not really, you don't really have any morals. And like I said, when you have no morals, you have no self-respect. When you have no self-respect, you can't respect others. So first and foremost, you need morals. I am going to move on to another topic, and this is not a specific event that is happening, but it is an issue of today. And it is becoming an increasingly bad problem in our society. Especially here in America, because there are people who are envious of us Americans. Although, yes, we may be falling as a nation, we are still one of the most, or if not the most wealthiest nation, next to China, that is, we are wealthy, okay? We are a very prosperous nation. And there are people who feel, there are some third world countries that feel as if they deserve that money. They are personally, they are they feel as if they were born into a bad situation, and they feel as if they feel obligated, they feel they feel personally compelled to get that money from America, from the American citizens. And that has brought on a whole new level of issues here in America. And that is romance scams. Now, a lot of people know this as catfish, but I call it romance scam because it really is a romance scam. Now, the problem with how does this connect with politics today? Well, these people in these countries, they're stealing money, right? They're basically stealing money from us Americans. They feel as if they feel as if they deserve this money. Now, why would they feel as if they deserve this money? That is my question. Why would they feel as if they deserve this money? Well, they deserve it. They feel as if they deserve it simply for the fact that they want America to fail. And that's one of the ways to make it fail, is literally take money from our citizens. That's one of the ways to make it fail. And some of these people are sending these individuals hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's just one person. Some of these people have a whole, they sit in these little office, in their little office, at their little office desk, and their whole desk is filled with pictures of people. Sometimes they can have 50 people, maybe 30, maybe 20, maybe 10. But from one person, they can get as much as $450,000. $450,000. But imagine if you can get at least $1,000 per person. But how do you do that? How do you do that? You can't just go up to him and ask him, hey, give me $1,000. You can't do that. So, the way to do it, the only way you can do it, and this is how you can control a person, and this is what dictators use, and this is the reason why it connects with problems and issues happening in our countries, and in our country and our other countries across the world today, is that these people use financial and emotional manipulation in order to get what they want. That's important. I'm going to say that again. They use financial and emotional manipulation to get what they want. Why is that so important? The reason why that's so important is because that is what, first of all, socialists, communists, fascists, Nazis, authoritarians, totalitarians, and also what Satan does, what evil people do. Now, again, I do not think that just because you... How can I put this? There are people today who are progressive. These people who are progressive, they're not necessarily evil. But what happens is they are... It's basically they're the victims of a scam. The evil people, and this is important, when it comes in terms of the scam, okay, the true evil people are the ones committing the scam. Those are the bad people. Those are the bad people. Those are the ones that deserve punishment, right? So to blame the general people who, now unless you're knowingly and outwardly saying, oh, I'm a communist or I'm a socialist, which there are some who are doing that, but the ones who really are at fault, are the ones who are knowingly imposing this agenda. Now again, how does this connect back to the romance scam? Well, first and foremost, these people know what they're doing. They pretend to love you. They pretend that they care about you. They pretend that you're going to have a wonderful life together. So that's how they get you emotionally. Then they get you financially. They basically run on your emotions to get at you financially. Now, the difference between them and the people such as your progressive leaders, your socialist leaders, your dictators, what they do is they use emotions, pure emotional manipulation, but they need to sound the most persuasive compared to the other candidate. Excuse me. They have to sound persuasive. More persuasive than the other guy. More persuasive than anybody else who's running. That's why the true evilness of communism is the one who originated it. The true evil, well, actually no, it's not the one who originated it. It is the people who knowingly know. Sorry about that, but that's the best way I can put it. Who know what they're doing. So the ones who are evil are not the people of the country who are progressive. The ones who are putting forth that progressivism is such a wonderful thing. These leaders who are putting forth that progressivism is a wonderful thing. Those are the ones who are evil. Those are the ones. Now you can disagree with the ones who are progressive, but they're not at fault, because what's actually going on is they're a part of you can basically say, a scam. Why? Okay? The question is why? Well, first of all, you have this wonderful, wonderful assumption that there's going to be equality, that everything is going to be so much better. You're going to have gays, lesbians, homosexuals, what have you. You're going to have this wonderful, wonderful economic system. You're going to have prosperity. You're going to have freedom. And it's going to be more freedom than there is now. And it sounds so great. And that we're going to defeat social inequality. We're going to make it equal. And it sounds fabulous. It's truly a dream come true with what they say. So who would disagree? Just like who would disagree with somebody who would turn down an offer, who would turn down being loved by somebody? No one would. No one would. But you have to look through certain people. You have to see the signs. You have to see the signs that this isn't right. This person is just not who they say they are. And how do you do that? Well, you can't believe everything that comes out of a person's mouth. Because if you believe everything that comes out of a person's mouth as true, especially those in government and online, then everything will be true. Heck, I could say, if I was chatting with somebody, I could say, oh, my face is purple. I was born with a purple face, and you could never verify that. But there are people who would believe it. Oh, I know somebody online who has a purple face, who was born with a purple face. So now going back to the government side of this. If the government says that, oh my God, the earth is warming, why should we have to believe it? Just like anything that you see online. Most people don't believe everything they see online. Why should people believe what the government puts in our mouths? Or what comes out of the government's mouth? I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Really is ridiculous. Love scams, romance scams, and socialist government, they're exactly the same thing. Socialist, communist, Nazi, communist, I already said that, fascist, all of that, you can compare that to love scams. Really, you can. There is an exact similarity. There is an exact correlation. Why? Because they're both evil. And evil people are very, very similar. What evil people do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the people who are let's say the followers of the socialism, that's the best way I can put it. The followers of it, you'll have those few who actually know what socialism is and are following it. But the majority of the people, they are going by what they're hearing the person saying. It sounds fabulous. But that is why conservatism trumps over liberalism, socialism, communism, Nazism, what have you. Because it uses logic. It uses logic. Forget about this notion of a perfect place. This notion of or comparing it to love scams, romance scams. Forget this notion of a perfect marriage, of a perfect person. Forget the notion of a perfect government. It's never going to happen. Forget this notion of one person being the ultimate savior. Forget about it. It destroys people's lives. Just like love scams, they destroy people's lives. Emotionally and financially. Socialism, communism, Nazism, fascism, totalitarianism, I can go on and on. They do the same exact thing. They hurt you financially, emotionally, and guess what? Unfortunately, there's one more thing added. You can even get physically damaged because of those. And let me tell you something. If these love scammers, these romance scammers had the ability to somehow forcefully touch you through phone or computer, if you didn't give them the money, they would be very violent. Very, very violent. Just like the Nazis were with the Jews. Just like Stalin was with his own people. Folks, evil people are there is 100% correlation between evil people. You can always read correlations between evil people. Some people call liberals evil. No, they're not evil. The true evil people are the socialists. Okay? You can't even necessarily call the progressives evil, because they're going by a notion that they're going by a notion of, and it originated from someone somewhere, that we need to progress forward. We need to progress towards communism or socialism. And whoever it was that had that idea is the one who's evil. Folks, people don't understand that the fate of socialism, communism, all of that is disastrous. Disastrous. Folks, there was a 10-year-old kid who got suspended from school for bringing to school a level 2 look-alike firearm. Now you're like, okay, what's a level 2 look-alike firearm? That sounds pretty serious. I mean, I would probably suspend somebody for a level 2 look-alike firearm. My question is, what do you think it is? What do you think a level 2 look-alike firearm is? Do you think it's a Nerf gun? Do you think it's a squirt gun? Do you think it's a cap gun? What do you think this level 2 look-alike firearm is? Well, the answer is his fingers were in the shape of a gun. His fingers. His fingers! Do you hear this? So he's suspended for just simply putting his fingers in the shape of an L. I cannot believe. Now, level 2 is level 1 the worst? If level 1 was the worst, well then because sometimes it goes from 2 to 1. But my assumption is that there's something lower than this. What would be lower? What's a level 1 look-alike firearm? And more importantly, what's higher? What? A Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun now? Yeah, somebody got suspended for a Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun. Oh, and there was somebody in New York suspended for not putting his t-shirt inside out. 'Cause it had NSA on it. What is wrong here? We're not teaching our kids the Second Amendment. We have the right to bear arms. That is our right as a country. I constantly am hearing people saying, oh, guns are bad. I've wanted to talk about this for so long. Oh, guns are bad. They're a bad influence on people. Are they really? Really, are they? There is one question I have. How can an inanimate object influence somebody? An inanimate object. People say, oh, we need to put restrictions on guns. Do we? Do we? Why? Why do we? The people around here will say, oh, there's no use for an automatic gun. There's no use for those. You know, I've heard every single excuse in the book. Oh, you don't need those automatic weapons, what have you. Folks, hear me out here. It doesn't matter. What matters is we have the right. We have the right as a American citizen. We have the right. Does it say we have the right to only bear pistols? No. Bear arms. We have that right. It is our Second Amendment right. And why did the founding fathers put that in the Constitution? Not because they wanted people to be violent, but because what happens? What in the world happens when our government, like what happened here in the United States, right here in Massachusetts, out of all places, what happens when you have the British invading your homes and shooting you, forcing you out of your homes? What do? You don't have any guns because they don't allow them. Because it's a bad influence. I have never heard so many excuses. I don't care. I don't care what the excuse is. They're all wrong. They're all inaccurate. They're all inappropriate. That's not the right word, but still, they're all ridiculous. You can just throw them out. Shove them down the toilet. That's the respect these comments deserve. The true, full respect is what is in the Constitution. And that is we have the right to bear arms. We have the right to bear arms as long as we have a permit, a gun permit. And as long as we have that, we can own as many arms as we want. Because you know why? It's our constitutional right. So now we have these people that are even getting in trouble now for even putting their fingers, drawing a shirt, anything in the shape of a gun. Another thing I constantly hear, and I cannot, it's one of those things that you know it's a liberal thing. Oh, violent video games are a very, very bad influence on children. First of all, it is not the government's responsibility to be telling our children which video games they should be playing or not. Guess whose responsibility that is? The parents. The parents. It isn't the government's responsibility to be taking care of our kids. That's first of all. Secondly, where are they getting this notion that video games influence? I'm sorry. I may not like Call of Duty. I may not like these violent video games. But some people like them. Who am I to tell them that they can't play these video games? Who am I? These people have no logic. No logic whatsoever. And that brings me to my principles and my values. I've been waiting a while to talk about this. There are 9 principles and 12 values that I go on. Okay? And I think that you all should go by these yourself. but that's your choice. The first principle is that America is good. Not that America is greedy, not that America is rich, not that America is... No. America is good. Good. It is being taught to us that America is unfair, that America is greedy, America is racist, America is... I've heard so many ridiculous comments. Principle number 1, America is good. Secondly, I believe in God, and He is the center of my life. That's an important principle to go by, and not a lot of people go by that principle anymore. Not a lot, surprisingly. Number 3, I must always try to be a more honest person than I was yesterday. You always have to try to become a better person each and every day that you live. The family is sacred. This is number 4. The family is sacred. My spouse and I are the ultimate authority, not the government. Not the government. Number 5. If you break the law, you pay the penalty. Justice is blind and no one is above it. Number 6. I have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But this is important. I want everyone to hear this. But there is no guarantee of equal results. Let me say that again. Because there are so many people who are out there saying, I have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I am in poverty, and this is not good. Can I read you this again? I have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But there is no guarantee of equal results. Thank you very much. There is no guarantee of equal results. Why? Not that it's unfair. The reason why is that because each and every person is different. If we were all the same, we would all get the same results. But we aren't. Number 7. I work hard for what I have, and I will share it with who I want to. Government cannot force me to be charitable. It is not, number 8, it is not un-American for me to disagree with authority or to share my personal opinion. Very, very important. Can I read that to you again? It is not un-American for me to disagree with authority or to share my personal opinion. Finally, the government works for me. I do not answer to them. They answer to me. However, that does not mean you can go ahead onto welfare and sponge off the government and say, oh, the government works for me. No. No. That's no. I go back to number 7. I work hard for what I have and I will share it with who I want to. I work hard for what I have. But that does not mean you can go ahead on welfare or food stamps or whatever and go ahead and sponge off the government. Here is some values 12 values, very important values. Honesty, reverence, hope. I have a lot of hope for this country. I continue to have hope for this country every single day. Honesty is very important. Reverence is very important. Thrift. Try to not waste. Humility, charity, sincerity, moderation, hard work, courage, personal responsibility, and gratitude. Very important principles and values to go by. Very important principles and values. I wish more people went by these values, but guess what? Not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people do. They don't want to. It's too difficult. It's too much work. Well, you have to, in order to get the results you want, you have to at least have a little work, at least a little bit. I have a soundbite for you. And this is of Bill Maher. This really gets me going. But I'm going to play a soundbite for you. It was this weekend, the HBO Bill Maher overnight program. Here it is.
What the Christians who are now protesting this movie are upset about is that it doesn't take the biblical story literally enough. They're mad because this made-up story doesn't stay true to their made-up story. But the thing that's really disturbing about Noah isn't the silly. It's that it's immoral. It's about a psychotic mass murderer who gets away with it, and his name is God.
Oh, man.
Genesis says God was so angry with himself for screwing up when he made mankind so flawed that he sent the flood to kill everyone. Everyone. Men, women, children, babies. What kind of tyrant punishes everyone just to get back at the few he's mad at? I mean, besides Chris Christie. Hey, God, you know you're kind of a when you're in a movie with Russell Crowe and you're the one with anger issues.
That's hard moving.
You know, conservatives are always going on about how Americans are losing their values and their morality. Well, maybe it's because you worship a guy who drowns babies.
Folks, this guy, I wrote a brief in my group, a brief little commentary that this guy is definitely going to hell, in my opinion. Maybe some disagree, maybe some think that I'm a little too radical. But to call God a D word, that should at least sum up for some people what he said. To call him a D word, I don't get it. I don't get it. This guy is so obnoxious. So obnoxious. Taking some of the most sacred parts of our lives and just tearing it and ripping it apart like it doesn't mean squat. You have to hear the comments before. It's just too much. This guy, I don't know why he's still on. Oh, it's HBO, so again, it's a subscription, so I don't know why this guy is into this. He's not even funny. This goes to what I wanted to really get into today. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to everything because we are running low on time. We're about 2 hours in. I don't know if I can finish up everything in just 2 hours. Or in just an hour. But spirituality is very important. One thing that we need to understand is we need to come together as, first of all, Americans. Secondly, we need to come together as people who have morality. Forget about what this... I could call him a bunch of names, but forget about what this idiot said. Conservatives are constantly saying that America's losing its values and morality. First of all, atheists, you know what they do? They take these portions of the Bible, and I can attest to this because this is what they do. They take portions of the Bible and they take them as if that is what is the Bible. Well, they say, "Oh, well, it's in there." Well, yeah, it's in there. But what are you trying to tell me? That it's meant to be taken literally? Well, yeah, everything's taken literally. Oh, so when you read a novel, like a fairy tale novel, or when you read a, I don't know, when you read a novel, it's supposed, do you take that literally also? Well, that's different. Oh, okay. That's different. No, folks. It's not different. First of all, yes, there is a lot of truth within this. But what people shouldn't do, especially these atheists, don't look at it. That's not the point that he lives thousands of years. The point is the general theme. Just like in the book. The point isn't that the fairy tale is, or that the fairy is green, or that the fairy is a man, or what have you. That's not the point. If we were to take everything literally, like what these people do, our life, we would be questioning everything. Everything. Now again, that then goes around to say, oh well, then why are you questioning the government? The reason why is our government has the responsibility it has a responsibility, and that is to serve for us. Serve for us. Did you hear that? Did you hear what I said? Serve for us. It's not the other way around. I'm not working for the government. We all aren't little minions for the government. The government is my minion. It is serving for me. And that is its responsibility, is serving for the people. And when it doesn't do that, we have a right to speak out. Again, though, I'm not saying that we should kill Bill Maher, because, no, he has a right to his freedom. He has a right to his opinion. He has a right as an American. Although he is taking his... If you listen to what he said, 60% of Americans believe in God, and he makes it sound so bad. Folks, he calls 60% of Americans stupid. He calls America stupid. Okay? Folks, you want to know something? You want to know, when you call the country that is giving you the freedom to speak your mind, freedom to say, call God a D word, freedom to say whatever the heck you want about people's religion, without being persecuted, without anything, you should be pretty proud of living in a country that gives you that freedom. You shouldn't be putting it down. That's taking for granted. That's taking for granted the freedoms you have. Taking for granted. Why don't you go on and move to Russia and say that? Or China? Or somewhere else that is a dictatorship that wouldn't allow that? And see what happens. Folks, it is important you understand yourselves. In order to understand yourself, you need to understand your principles, your values. And we need to come together. Okay, when I say we need to come together, we may disagree on things. Okay, we may disagree on immigration, we may disagree on amnesty, we may disagree on global warming or what have you. But what we need to do is we need to find what it is that connects us. That connects us. And the first and foremost thing is America. That connects us. And if you don't think America is good, then why are you here in the first place? In order to really change who you are, the only person who can do that is you. And really, in order for you to do that, you need to have a connection with your spiritual self. And for most of America, that's God. But whatever religion you believe in, spirituality is one of the most important aspects of life. You can be an atheist, though. Don't get me wrong. There are atheists who are spiritual. However, most atheists aren't. They're just saying, oh, I hate the Bible. Ugh. We all need to be spiritual. What does that mean? Okay, you have Christianity. We believe in God and Jesus Christ. You have Buddhism, which believes in Buddha. You have the evolutionists who believe in the tree. Even atheists. They believe in science. What we need to do, though, is whatever you believe in, whatever it is you believe in, whether it's God, whether it's Buddha, whether it's whatever it is, it could be, there's the one religion there that's it's ridiculous, but the flying spaghetti monster, whatever it is, okay, whatever your religion is, you need to have faith. You need to have faith. You need to be honest with yourself. You need, and I don't think I can express this enough, you need to have morality. I hope I got that through. I don't know where this will end, but Obama, a couple weeks ago, he messed up the word respect. First of all, he's a president, but I'm gonna play this for you because you probably are dying to hear it. Have a soundbite of it. It's very short. Okay, it's not long at all. But listen to this. Listen. Just listen. Okay? Listen to how idiotic this sounds.
Eventually, artists like Aretha and Patti began mixing gospel with R&B and rock and pop. Instead of singing about love and pain, forgiveness and acceptance to a church audience, they sang about them to the world. And the world had never heard anything like it. When Aretha first told us what R-S-P-E-C-T meant to her, she had no idea it would become a rallying cry for African Americans.
Do you hear this? Do you hear this? How can you mess up the word respect? Okay, fine. You mess it up, okay? Everybody has their bad days, okay? Well, maybe you're like, oh, RSPCT or something. But at least acknowledge that you messed it up. I don't know. It's just so ridiculous. He's the president, for goodness sakes. He has a Harvard education. Yeah, I know. We all go have those bad days where we forget a word or something, how to spell it. But even still, okay? How does that look? Looks terrible. Terrible. So there is a woman, I believe it's in the UK, who married her dog. Yes, you heard me correctly. She married her dog. Now, I'm gonna entertain something for a minute. If we can go ahead and change the definition of marriage to make it a union of two people instead of a union between a man and a woman, what makes us believe that marriage can't be a union between two animals or two things? Where will it end? I mean, we made two people a marriage. Why can't a dog and a animal and a woman, or an animal and a person get married? Why can't I get married to my car? Why can't I get married to this pumpkin pie? Which, by the way, looks very good. But why? They can get married. The man and the man can get married. Why can't I get married to this pumpkin pie? I really do. I want to get married to it. I'm kidding. But even still, where is it going to end? That is the logic that these people should be thinking in their heads. If we can change the definition of marriage to a union between two people instead of a union between a man and a woman, then why can't we change it to where it's between two animals, two things? Why? And this is a pure example of where marriage is heading. Last week there was an all-night talkathon on global warming. Global warming. I'm not going to get too much into this, but can you believe it? An all-night talkathon on global warming. I can't even begin to describe how ridiculous that is. Folks, I want to talk a little bit about Common Core math. I was looking, and I'm going to try to somehow, actually in the description, I am going to post the links to some examples of Common Core math. So, I was looking at examples this weekend. Sorry, I was sort of drifting off for a second. I was looking at some examples of Common Core. One of the questions was, it was something along the lines of using and this was a kindergarten math problem. Shouldn't a kindergarten math problem be 1 plus 1? 2 minus 1? 3 minus 2? Shouldn't that be kindergarten math? No. Kindergarten math now is take the cube stick, color in some of the cubes red, some of the cubes blue, and then draw it on the color bond. Use your invisible partner or something along those lines, and draw it on the fingers, because they had like these little fingers on the worksheet. I'll get that link for you. What the heck is an invisible partner? What partner are you using? This is a piece of homework. There was another one where they have the they have 32 minus 12, which is 20. So and to get to 32, or to get to the answer, they have to go they do 12 plus 3, which is 15, and then they do all this other addition. Where in the world did they throw out the number 3? Why are they using plus 3? Why didn't they do plus 6? Why didn't they do plus 7? Where is this 3 coming from? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And to be honest, no one ever does math in that way. The reason why Common Core says that they're doing this way is because they want people to understand why 32 minus 12 is 20. Oh, okay. So we gotta understand now why 32 minus 12 is 20. Not just know 32 minus 12 is 20 by the normal way. No, we need to go deep down and understand why and teach all these confusing aspects. And trust me, I know, because I was in Common Core. Remember, I'm in Massachusetts. Folks, it's just so mind-boggling. It doesn't make sense. I almost failed math in elementary school because it didn't make any sense. The way they were teaching multiplication, the way they were teaching addition and subtraction. I don't know. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't make sense. You have these socialists, okay? Or you have people in the education system who teach us, socialism is working. It's working in Sweden, Norway, Finland. And also, surprisingly, Denmark. These are a few countries that they use as their little, their little, I guess you could say their little ball. It's what holds everything together. Oh, you hate socialism? Look at what's going on in Denmark. It's working. It's working. Really? Is it really working? Do they really? The question here is, and does Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark really enjoy the same stuff that we have? Do they have the same lifestyle we enjoy? I'm going to use Norway as an example. Your monthly income, the average monthly income in Norway is $7,000. The take-home pay, $3,300. Take home. That is a 53% income tax. 53%. Not only that, they are paying $9 to $10 per gallon for gas. And that's if you can afford a car. There is a 14% VAT tax on food. Food! So this is supposedly the successful thing as far as socialism. It's ridiculous. And the taxes in Norway, they're ridiculous. Or excuse me, in Denmark, they're just as ridiculous. Don't give me this BS of Denmark is working. Don't give me that. Don't give me this Sweden, Norway, Finland stuff. I'm sorry. The United States is the best. Don't try to manipulate it. For those of you who don't know, I was originally in a sociology class. I dropped out of it. I withdrawed. Because you know what? It was so ridiculous. It was so bad. You know what the first class they taught us? Actually, this professor taught me. The first thing this professor said on the first day was that, you'll see how good Karl Marx is, and maybe you can look at and compare it to Obamacare. Yeah. You know what? She has a point. It is very similar. You know why it is? Because this guy's a socialist. The second class, okay? Because it was once a week. The second class, she mentions how great, how wonderful, how marvelous Karl Marx is. He's a marvelous guy. He's wonderful. And all these mean Americans are calling him bad names. It's so unfair. Oh yeah, Karl Marx is somebody that really needs to be praised. This is pure example of indoctrination. That's all this sociology BS is about. It's indoctrination. It's socialist indoctrination. All this sociology, socialization, social this, social... All it is a form of implementing socialism. And socialism is basically control, big government. Speaking about socialism and big government, Paris forced yesterday, all cars off the road because of pollution. Yes. You know, I don't know. I was reading something else, so that France is also still, even though that there's these serious tensions and that France is so against what's going on as far as Russia is concerned. I read something that France is going to be supplying Russia with helicopters. Now again, this was, arranged before everything happened, but even still, wouldn't you think that you would say, you know what? I'm not gonna give you these helicopters. What happens if you use them in your invasion? What happens if you use them in your invasion, potentially, of the European Union? No, France isn't saying that. France is like, you know what? We'll continue giving you those helicopters. We're gonna make them still. You know what? I can't stand it. It's ridiculous. The idiocy going on here. And personally, I don't think Paris is all that offended by what's going on with Russia. I don't think so. France is socialist. They're one of the most socialist countries in the world. Although they're not a dictatorship. It's socialism at its pure level. I don't know, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, there are apparently some accusations, let's say, that third-hand smoke. Okay? So now we're beyond second-hand smoke. But now they're moving on to third-hand smoke. I don't know. And that apparently it causes cancer. You know, secondhand smoke is ridiculous enough. Never mind this third-hand smoke BS. It's ridiculous. Then they're gonna move on to fourth-hand smoke. The only thing that causes cancer is if you actually smoke. I want to talk about this because I think it's important. It represents one of the principles that I go by. There was this kid, I believe in North Carolina. He is 9 years old, and he brought to school with him a My Little Pony backpack. Or lunch bag or something. And basically he was bullied and he was told that, you know, that to go die. Well, that didn't stop him. Well, he was afraid to go to school, but he didn't want to stop bringing his lunch bag. Well, when they talked to the school administrators, they said, well, you know what, you should hide it. You should hide it. You know, yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. Really? Is that really the best thing to do? Now, I'm not saying that everybody should be bringing a My Little Pony lunch bag with them. But, and yes, as a person, there are people who are going to pick on you if you do something that's different than the normal. However, you just prevail, and you don't care about those idiots. They're idiots, they're scumbags, whatever you want to call them. And the ultimate fight back is just be who you are. Don't care about them. But this school saying that, no, hide it. Or turn it inside out. Or what have you. You have these schools saying, oh, diversity, multiculturalism. They don't believe that for a second. That's just propaganda to progress a socialist agenda. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in that. I'm sorry, but I'm sick and tired. I'm really sick and tired of people. Folks, yes, you are going to get picked on for being different, okay? But to not at least have someone stand up for you, behind you, I'm sick and tired of it. Okay? Really. People use a lot of things to discriminate against people. This is a prime example. People are constantly saying, oh, conservatives are racists, discriminatory, and all this other stuff. Are we? Are we the ones teaching our students about income inequality? Are we the ones teaching our students about racial inequality? In order to teach them about this stuff, you actually need to believe it. At least the company who's producing the textbooks have to believe it. Maybe not the teachers. Some of them probably believe it. But in order to be able to, when you're teaching this, you at least have to think somewhat that this is true, or else you wouldn't be teaching it. So these liberals, these progressives, who always say, oh, conservatives are racists, they're bigots. Are we really? Are we really the ones who are the racists? That's my question. Are we the ones telling America that we need to stop this gender inequality? No, we're not the ones saying that. It's the liberals. It's the progressives. We're not for equality. We're for equal opportunity, no matter what color your skin is. We don't care if you're black, white, green, yellow, orange. We don't care. We believe in equal opportunity for everybody. We don't care what you like. We don't care your sexuality. We don't care. We appreciate everybody as a good person. That is what freedom is. You look at each individual individually. You don't group them. You don't group them into blacks. You don't group them into oh, you're an urban, you're part of the urban area, so you're not gonna get as much of an advantage as those who live in the suburban area. We don't do that. We look at each person individually. That is what is the situation. We need to look at each person as an individual person, as a very good person, and that they have within themselves a talent that they need to find, and that they need to express. And once they find that, they need to run with it, and they need to be the best they can at it. It may take lots of hard work to get there, but you will eventually be that person you want to be. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter your color of your skin. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. That is what it says in the Constitution. Equal opportunity for all. Equal opportunity, not equality. Equality is the same is equalness. Equality is the same. It's like 2 plus 2 is the same as 4. That is equality. Equal opportunity is the same opportunity for everybody. That, my friends, is the answer. I'm sick and tired of these people who think they're better than everybody else. You know what? You have a serious wake-up call. You have a serious wake-up call. If it wasn't for this great country, you wouldn't be where you are at right now. And this kid who's 9 years old, he didn't deserve to be not stood back by the school. Yes, he's going to get picked on for being different, just like me, just like Rush Limbaugh, just like Glenn Beck, just like every other conservative and Tea Party person in the country. But do we care? No. We don't. So this 9-year-old boy who truly wants to show that he's different, if he said that he was unsure sexually, then everybody would be on this. But because he said, no, I'm a boy, but I like My Little Pony, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Folks, it really is astounding. It really is astounding at the almost the hypocrisy that actually it is hypocrisy. Every part of the government, every single part, it doesn't matter if it's the education, if it's the Senate, if it's the White House, it doesn't matter where in the government it is. There's hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. And it's happening in this school district. So, folks, my message to you is, if you feel as if you're different than everybody else, don't change. Do not change, because there are people around you saying, you need to change. That's different. You're not like the rest of society. Don't make that discourage you. Because you know what? If everybody in society was the same, this would be a boring place. And guess what? It would be a socialist, communist type place. Everybody has to act the same way. It's getting to that, especially in our education system where we're being taught Common Core. And we're not allowed anymore to express our freedom of thought and our freedom of speech in schools anymore. Now again, with reason, but even within reason, you're not allowed to. Even within reason, you're not able to speak out against the teacher. If you do, you're gonna be sent to the principal's office. So, folks, my message here is yet again, don't change because the school tells you to. Don't change because there's a few jerks around you telling you to change. Don't! I'm not, and none of my role models have either. Just because the rest of society thinks that they're idiots, conspiracy theorists, what have you, they haven't changed. They have prevailed. And guess what? Those are the people that you either love them or you hate them. Because you know why? Because they tell the truth. They are honest. They don't say, oh, is this gonna hurt somebody? Or, oh, is this gonna be a little not right? Or, no. We don't care. Honesty prevails over everything else. Honesty is the most important value you can have. To be honest with yourself is to be honest with those around you. But ultimately, you need to be honest with God. And if you don't believe in God, you really, really should look into it. Because without having a higher, at least some higher power, if you don't have any religion, if you don't have any God that you believe in, if you don't believe in God, then what do you believe in? There's a lot of people, and this is what I'm going to finish off with. There's a lot of people who consider themselves religious, but they aren't really. Are you really religious? Do you really believe in God? Do you really believe in God? Do you really? Do you have a relationship with Him? You need to look at God as if He were another human being, not as something that you can't see. Because, folks, it's very important for everybody to have that higher power that they believe in. Very important. And that is why atheism never works. And that is why, folks, all of the socialists why all the Nazis, all the fascists, why they all were atheists. Why? Because they were at war, not with people, but with God. They were at war with God. They were trying to be God themselves. And on that note, I am going to close off for this program. I didn't get to a couple stories. I wanted to get to the Malaysia airplane issue and the also Obama handing over the last part of the internet to the global community, but hey, we got through a very good chunk of what I wanted to get through. So, folks, have a great rest of your week, and I will be back maybe by the end of the week. We'll see. And have a great few days. Take care, everybody.